Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for reporting creepy neighbors' cameras without talking him first? I'm a woman in my 20s and recently moved houses. I live on my own. My new next door neighbors are a middle-aged couple who are extremely religious. I'm not going to mention what religion they are, but they're on the more fundamentalistic side of their religion. We've had amazing weather lately, and I've been spending a lot of my time in my garden, chilling or working on my laptop, wearing shorts and t-shirts or summer dresses. Just normal clothes. I haven't even really met my neighbors until one day, the woman, Mira, rang my doorbell. To my surprise, she asked me to start covering up, that she has a husband and growing boys and I shouldn't be showing my body, that men can't help but look and it's our, women's, responsibility to cover our bodies. I told her that. No, and that men are perfectly capable of not looking, and perhaps she should teach her husband and sons that they shouldn't be creeps, and I closed the door. While I haven't noticed anything earlier, now I was on high alert, and whenever I was in the garden, I noticed someone in their house was often creeping on my through the window. One day, I was coming home from shopping and saw the husband installing a camera facing my garden. I could see another one facing my living room. It was creepy to say the least, and I decided to get my own camera because I wasn't feeling safe. Well, turns out it was a good idea because the husband was a major peeping Tom. Turns out that whenever his wife left and at night, I often stay up late, he would come and try to sneak a peek through my windows, mostly my downstairs bathroom. I ended up reporting him to local authorities, not the police, for the cameras because you can't have them facing someone else's property where I live. They made him take them down, and the woman came over shouting at me how I lied about her husband, and they got in trouble and she called me various names for the oldest profession in the world. She claimed that it was a safety camera, and I should have talked to them first, and they would have sorted it out, and I didn't have to get the authorities involved. But frankly, after the last conversation we had, I didn't feel comfortable speaking with them. I'm now considering reporting him for peeping as well, but I'm wondering, am I the antagonist for reporting them for cameras without speaking to them first? Now for the top comments. NTA. You don't have to give criminals a warning before reporting them. Report him for peeping. Very disturbing behavior. Taking that together with his wife's odd insistence about you needing to cover up in your own property, I'm seeing massive red flags waving. NTA. Huge red flags. Peeping Tom behavior is not as benign as it is usually passed off to be. It is often linked with criminal sexual deviance and should be taken seriously. Seems like the wife may have known about it and was trying to get ahead of the inevitable discovery by dropping the blame in Op's lap. Very glad you've got your own eyes open here, Opus. NTA. If you have video evidence of him peeping into your windows, time to call the cops. A predator is a predator, no matter how religious. As for the wife, she is brainwashed and likely insecure that her husband is a perv. This is probably a pattern of why they had to leave their last place. She knows. She defends, first by demanding others cover up, then that he isn't doing it, which counters the first. So he feels justified in harassing women. He needs to be stopped and held accountable. NTA. You should reported the peeping right away. Please stop considering and just do it. You're under no obligation to talk to someone about their unlawful behavior before contacting the authorities. Absolutely do report it. This is such an unsafe situation, and the fact that the woman thinks it's Op's fault enrages me. Am I the antagonist for not letting my daughter come back to live with me? I have a 13-year-old daughter. Me and her dad parted on good terms. I would have her during the week, and the weekends and holidays were his. We were both happy with this arrangement and still did it when we both meet our current partners. He eventually moved away to another part of the country, but even so we still managed to make it work so she could see him. When my daughter turned 12, puberty kicked in and she turned into a little witch. She stopped listening to us and started bullying her siblings and disrespecting me and her stepdad. She would sneak out to parties and started drinking. We took her to get help and even tried therapy. None of it worked. In fact, she got worse. She turned 13 this year and her new rant to me was she hated us and she wanted to go live with her dad permanently. I rang me ex in tears after she called the police on us and saying we abused her when we refused to buy her an expensive phone we couldn't afford. It was a horrible experience having police and the child services coming to my home and questioning us about the alleged abuse. She sat through the whole meeting smirking and told them she wanted to stay with her dad. I could tell she didn't care the stress she put us through. I told my ex what happened and he agreed she could live with him full time. That was 3 weeks ago, and during thesis weeks my other children are more happy and me and my husband are less stressed. It doesn't feel like we're walking around a time bomb ready to go off. Then last night my daughter rang me up crying and saying she hates it at her dad's and she wants to come home, and I told her she chose to go there and sorry, but she's going to have to stay there. She kept begging, but I refused as I felt like it's because she got told no to something she wanted and was just acting up. My parents rang me up after I ended the call with her and said how can I do that to her? It's like I'm abandoning my own child. I said if they feel that way then feel free to offer their home to her, but I know they couldn't because of their health. They knew that too. They hung up on me and since then been getting sent nasty texts about abandoning my own child. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA. My own daughter pulled this same stunt at about the same age. Problem for her was that her dad and I worked hard at being good co-parents. So he already knew all the details and we were already on the same page. When she threw her epic tantrum and wanted to go live with dad, my current husband and I helped her pack and paid her plane fare, even flew her dog with her. The first thing her dad said when she got off the plane was, "You're still grounded for the month." That did not go over well with her, but luckily her dad was effective at reining in her tantrums, along with our current respective spouses. We continue to amicably co-parent to this day and our daughter is a lovely and self-sufficient adult. Stick to your guns. It sounds like you and your ex are on the right track. She'll grow out of it eventually. Thank you for sharing your experience with this. Some people have argued that you have no right to abandon your child. I would dispute this. Since she's with her father, she isn't abandoned. What you haven't shared is how her father feels about this arrangement. Has he called you to complain about how difficult she's become? If not, I'm guessing that he's a no-nonsense type of parent, and she's calling you in tears, begging to come back because she could get away with more while she was living with you. I assume that when you called up your ex, you also clued him in as to why your daughter is such a handful. So, he knew what he was getting into, and despite your warnings, he agreed to this. So, I have to believe that he accepted this with some idea how to deal with her, unless you have evidence that she's being abused by him. I'm inclined to think that she's in the best possible place right now. It's sounding like he managed to put the brakes on her behavior, and she's not happy about it. And while this may sound harsh, I'm not impressed by your daughter's display of tearfulness, especially since she hasn't even apologized for lying to CPS, wasting their time and resources, and smugly gloating over the misery she caused. So, we already know that she's unreliable when it comes to reporting on facts, and that she doesn't mind manipulating others to get her way. And in calling your parents, she's showing that she's still attempting to manipulate others to get her way. Also, think about your other children that she was terrorizing. Leave her where she is, unless you find some evidence that your ex isn't taking proper care of her. It sounds to me like she's with a parent who is better able to cope with this, and in any case, she owes you an apology before she's allowed to come back, and only when your ex has notified you of an improvement in her behavior. NTA. Am I the antagonist for taking the only 2-seat table in the restaurant all to myself? Throwaway account. I, 35F, have given up on dating, but still enjoy date activities. So once a month I take myself out on a date. I go out to the movies, museums and even mini golf by myself. And I always treat myself to a nice lunch dinner around 3-4 p.m. after the lunch rush, but before the dinner rush too, so I have plenty of time to enjoy my food. For my self dates I always look for a new restaurant to try. Saturday I found this great little Mediterranean place. It's a real gem. hidden away at the end of a strip mall, with murals on the walls, lovely guitar music, and only about 7 tables total. When I got there only one other table was occupied, and I sat in the only two-seater table. The waiter got me my drink, and I had just put in my order when a couple walked in. They looked around the small restaurant, saw me at the only 2-seat table, and approached the waiter. I was on my Kindle and not paying attention until I heard the waiter say there are plenty of other tables. They whisper argued for another minute before I heard the man say she won't take that long to eat. She's all alone. The woman huffed, and they sat at the 4-seat table right next to me. They ordered waters and loudly said they were still deciding what they wanted, but were clearly stalling because she looked right at me as she said it. I chose to ignore it. When I treat myself to soft dates I go all out and order an appetizer, sup salad, and enter. My appetizer came out, and I clearly heard the man say see it's just a small meal. Shall be gone soon. I didn't say anything and just enjoyed my food. When I finished the woman grabbed her purse like she was going to dash to my table before someone else came in, only for the waiter to bring out my soup. I took my time eating the soup as the waiter again asked the couple if they're ready to order. The woman said they're still deciding and needed water refills. Then my enter came out. As soon as they saw it the woman said, "Are you I'm kidding me?" The food was amazing, and even though I knew they were waiting for my table I took my time appreciating my meal. Halfway through, the waiter again asked them if they were ready. The man said he was starving and ordered. The woman was clearly not happy but also ordered. I was tempted to order dessert too, but I was stuffed. I paid my check, and as I was leaving I saw the couple moving their plates over to my table, which hadn't even been cleared off yet. At the time I thought it was hilarious, but when I told my friends about it, they said I had been an R. They said restaurants like that were for couples on dates, not single people, and that it wouldn't have been a big deal for me to move or gotten takeaway and eaten at home. I said it was 4 PM not prime date time and that there were 5 other tables to pick from. But they said it'd taken the most romantic table and ruined their date for my own enjoyment. Now I'm not sure and am asking the internet for an impartial judgment. Now for the top comments. NTA most places don't even have _1 person tables. It's more of an asshole move to occupy a 4-seater as a singleton, unless there's no other option than a 2-seater. It's not your fault that they wanted your table and didn't even have the courtesy to ask you directly if you wouldn't mind moving. It's not your fault that they wanted your table and didn't even have the courtesy to ask you directly if you wouldn't mind moving. That's the part that was so wild to me, that they didn't even ask. If they'd been polite about it, I might have even moved. But they were just so passive aggressive. I would have ordered dessert just to be petty. Then picked at it for at least an NTA. What have they ruined their own date? There's JS absolutely no reason for them to need that table. How is sitting at a 4-person table any impact on them? You did the right thing in taking a smaller table so the restaurant could use the bigger tables for bigger groups. Your sister is nuts. Why should you get takeaway or have to go home or move? You are a fully valid person on your own. Oh no. Now we have room to have our salad plates and entree plates in front of me at the same time. It's such a tragedy. Am I the antagonist for kicking my GF out because she wanted to do it? I'm a 20 years old male, and my girlfriend Emma is a 21 years old female. We met in a class that we shared in college before a year and a half. Both of us are exclusive, and we share most of our interests. So my father is a landowner. He gave me the apartment I live in today under the condition that I take care of any problems happening in the building. After 4 months into our relationship, Emma moved in due to her apartment rent being too high. Now everything was going great in the relationship. I and Emma communicate pretty well, and we both respected one another's boundaries. Emma however started talking about sex work a few weeks ago. I expressed to her that I have a negative view on the subject, and that I don't want to be used or seen in such context. Emma didn't really like the answer, but she shut it down after I asked her to. Last Saturday Emma talked to me again. This time she wanted to do it. It was a final answer on her part. I told her that I don't want her to do it, and that I'm really uncomfortable with that. She in response tried to comfort me into trying it out for once. I said that I do not want to and that I will not participate in any way in any activity of said nature. She was extremely upset about my answer. She said that if I refuse to work with her she'll need someone to work with. That was it to me. I broke up with her at the spot. After that she was crying and saying that it was a bad comment that slipped out of her mouth and that she'll never consider such option. I walked out of the house and stayed out for the whole day. When I came back she was waiting for me. SGE apologized again, but I stopped her and told her that she only has till Friday night to get out of my house and went to sleep alone on our bed. I talked to my best friend about this and she said that I shouldn't be so cold-hearted about Emma's career decision and that it's totally unacceptable to kick someone out of the house because I don't like their job. Now for the top comments. NTA. She has every right to do it. You have every right to not agree with her career choice. Your views differ and that's okay. Better to have parted ways now and move on. Info. It sounds like it's not just that she wanted to do an OnlyFans, but she wanted you to have sex with her on camera. Then when you said no she tried to emotionally blackmail you into doing it by threatening to get another partner for on-camera sex. Edit. If this is correct you are 100% not the a-hole. It doesn't sound like you were trying to control her at all but trying to enforce your boundaries for your own body. She violated your trust by threatening to have sex with another partner if you refuse to comply. This is abusive behavior and you have every right to break up and ask her to leave. Yeah, that sounds correct. I was typing an edit when you answered. Here it is. You are 100% not the a-hole. It doesn't sound like you were trying to control her at all but trying to enforce your boundaries for your own body. She violated your trust by threatening to have sex with another partner if you refuse to comply. This is abusive behavior and you have every right to break up and ask her to leave. Apostrophe. NTA. It's not that you don't like a job. It's porn. First, she's trying to force you into porn, which is totally not okay. Second, I don't care if it was in the heat of the moment. There are some things you can't say and I'll find someone else to FCK as one of them, even if it's for work. And third, you're completely entitled to not wanting to date someone that does porn. NTA. She was your girlfriend and you were exclusive. This would count in being unfaithful if you guys do not have an arrangement or an open relationship. Instead she tried to force you to do it. Imagine the roles being reversed. The situation would be far more serious. Also her comment about needing someone else was not okay. NTA. She wasn't a roommate or a renter. She was your girlfriend who said she was going to cheat on you on camera. It's perfectly reasonable not to want that in your house. Am I the antagonist for leaving my date in the parking lot? Throwaway account because of reasons. I, 30F, broke up with my long-term boyfriend a couple months ago. I've been on the fence about dating, so I was really hesitant when the cute lawyer in the office below mine asked me out for dinner. He recommended a really nice steak restaurant, the kind where the steak melts in your mouth and they don't put the price on the menu, and I agreed as long as we paid for our own dinners. I was the one who suggested this because I didn't want him to pay that kind of cash on a first date since I make a decent salary, but I was also worried he would think I was just going out with him for his money. So I got all dressed up and drove myself to the restaurant. We agreed to drive ourselves and it's nice going well until I went to the bathroom. I ordered a medium rare ribeye. Like this steak was made from my dreams. I was probably more excited with the steak than I was about the date tbh. He ordered a filet mignon. Nice. But it's no ribeye. When I came out of the bathroom, the waitress had already left our steaks out and my date was digging into my ribeye. I asked him if that was my steak and he pulled the whole "Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought this was mine. I'll get you another one," but I felt really terrible. I'm a big girl, I can come back and get another steak, and filet mignon is fine. Date continues. And I thought things were going well since my ribeye until the check came. He grabbed both bills and exaggerated that he would pay for it, but I reminded him that we agreed to split our bills. He looked through the bills and handed me mine. I didn't realize until my card came back with a $400 bill that he handed me the bill for my Rabia 38. He was very apologetic and said he would buy me dinner to make up for it. I tried to play it if mistakes happen. He probably forgot. It's fine. But then he wrapped his arm around my waist and asked me to drive him home. I may have been out of the dating game for a while, but I'm not dumb. This was one of the reasons why I suggested we drive our own cars. So, I took his arm off me and told him that he could use the money he didn't spend on my Rabbi to pay for an Uber. I drove home and cried into a bottle of wine and figured it was just a bad date. Whatever. Next Monday I go to lunch and it's like every person in the building knows that my date went badly and that it was my fault for being unreasonable. Even my friends have been telling me that I was in the wrong for leaving him at the restaurant and making him call an Uber. Telling me I'm a prude. I feel like an asshole because I was rude. I could have explained my feelings better and maybe I could have just driven him home, but I dunno. TL. Doctor, due date my steak. Made me pay for it and tried to get into my pants. So I left him at the restaurant. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. You are absolutely not the a-hole. First off, you made your intentions clear about driving separately. You also made your intention clear about paying for your own meal. He ate yours, so he should have paid for that one. Trying to get you home to get into your pants. I don't remember reading that in the original agreement and he shouldn't have expected it on a first date anyways. Consequences have actions and your reactions were the consequences of his actions. Source, psychologist. NTA, you hung out longer than me. I would have left after he ate my food. Right. Do not get in between me and Arabi. Wibta for telling my roommate's girlfriend to pay rent, using throwaway and fake names. Quick background, I've been in a 4-bedroom house for a while now, but my roommates just signed a lease. There's 3 of us in a 4-bedroom. The 40h bedroom is our living room. When I listed the place on a roommate search FB group, I listed it as 3-bedroom and made it clear that it's a living room, not a 40h bedroom. My roommate John's signed lease same time as Harry. Room is locked. He isn't here for the summer, but is paying rent. He is using it as storage. My other roommate Harry moved in 3 weeks ago. Has been good so far. He has a GF that would come over every 3rd day during the first week. And OFCI didn't care at all. Starting a week after he moved in, she started spending most nights of the week here. Harry is pretty responsible and clean, but she is not. It's annoying but I just brush it off. What happened recently prompted me to write this post. Last week, she moved the desk. She has a hybrid job from Harry's room. He only does homework at the uni library. I assume it's so she can focus on her work when he is watching TV in his room. Last Thursday, while I was watching TV in the living room, she asked me to leave because she had work to do. This really annoyed me as it's our living room, but I didn't want to argue so I left and she locked the door. Since then, she has taken over the living room and not allowed anyone in during the day. What bugs me the most is that while it is a 4-bedroom place, I didn't advertise it as a 4-bedroom while I looked for roommates because it's the only living space in the house. My room and the kitchen are very small and I wasn't going to give that up. Also, she isn't on the lease. Would I be the antagonist if I told her she should pay rent if she is going to take over a room? It is frustrating as rent isn't cheap where I live, big city in Canada, and she has taken over the only place where we can relax in the house, all while not paying any rent. Now for the top comments. NTA, don't even make it an option for her to pay rent, because then she will only get worse. Tell her that room is common space for people on the lease, and she has no right to dictate who uses it when. Talk to Harry and tell him that his GF staying over occasionally is fine, but her keeping you from using spaces in the house that you pay for is not okay. Check your lease for rules about guests / people staying there not on the lease. Most standard leases have boilerplate about that. I definitely rather have a living room than save a few hundred in rent. Our rental rules are vague on that subject, but I've been here much longer than them and have a great relationship with the landlord. I think evicting them, if it gets way worse, could be possible because PPL are always looking for housing where I live. NTA, to me this is deeper than the room and her staying there. She's taking over a room. That is the living room. She's not on the lease. That is not hers to do. Nor is it his. Nor is it mine. NTA and I would actually put a stop to her taking over the living space instead of asking her for rent. I wouldn't want someone like that as a roommate/renter, because the minute she starts to pay rent, she'll think she has full run of the place, based off how she's treating the space as a non-renter. Can you imagine how she's treat you, and the space is a renter? Shut that down.